Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, we'll resume reading from chapter 4, Getting Unstuck. Right? Anybody would like to read?
Yes, if anybody wants, otherwise I'll do.
Yeah. You go in first, Suman, then we'll see. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, okay. Getting unstuck. Grant was stuck. He worked for a major car rental company, and after doing his good time journal, he realized he was spending the majority of his days in activities that neither engaged nor energized him. He hated dealing with irate customers. He didn't like completing endless boilerplate contracts. He hated reciting the same exact script every day. He didn't like having to upsell customers constantly. But most of all, he hated feeling as if he didn't matter. He didn't want to be a small, unimportant cog in a giant corporate machine. Grant wanted to work someplace where he would leave his mark. He wanted to have influence. He wanted what he did to be important to someone, anyone. Grant didn't completely hate his job, but he could not think of a single time when he had ever experienced anything close to a state of flow. Work equaled a kind of dull misery. He watched the clock. He waited for his paycheck each week, and the weekends could not come soon enough or last long enough. The only time he liked what he was doing was when he was hiking among the redwoods or playing a pickup basketball game with his friends or helping his niece and nephew with their homework, none of which would pay the bills. Grant was about to be promoted to a store manager, and this made him feel more stuck than ever. He had never dreamed of working for a car rental agency, but no matter how long and hard he thought about it, he could not come up with a realistic idea for a different career. He had no idea where to begin. Even sure, he would love to be a rock star or a major league baseball player, but he didn't sing or play an instrument, and he had bailed out of Little League at the age of 12. A literature major in college, he had taken the first job that paid more than minimum wage. And now he was trapped. Grant didn't want to resign himself to renting cars for the rest of his life, but he felt there were no other options. Some guys are just unlucky, he thought. Some guys just aren't meant to leave their mark. Grant felt defeated because he thought that all he could do was what he had always done, and because he was not thinking like a designer. Designers know that you never go with your first idea. Designers know that when you choose from loads of options, you choose better. Many people are like Grant. They get stuck trying to make their first idea work. Grant needed to start thinking like a designer. Dysfunctional belief, I am stuck. Reframe, I am never stuck because I can always generate a lot of ideas. Sharon is a paralegal who worked at a prestigious law firm in Boston until she was laid off. Now she spends 6 hours a day on the internet looking for a job. She has been doing this for over a year. She is completely demoralized. Any shred of self confidence evaporated long ago. In fact, being a paralegal was not her goal in the first place, it was her backup plan. She went to business school, but the economy was in the dumpster when she graduated in 2009. She could not find a job as a marketing executive, which she had been told was the right thing to do with an MBA. Like so many, she thought that doing the right thing would make her happy. But Sharon was not remotely close to happy. The truth is that Sharon had no idea what she really wanted out of business school. And this lack of genuine interest was probably apparent to the people who interviewed her. She had spent a long time trying to do the right thing instead of doing what was right for Sharon. A year into her job research, she felt she was out of options. She felt defeated, but Sharon was not really out of options. She just hadn't come up with a lot of real options in the first place. Dysfunctional belief, I have to find the one right idea. Reframe, I need a lot of ideas so that I can explore any number of possibilities for my future. With no idea other than to keep on doing what she was doing, Sharon, like Grant, was stuck. Most people do the same thing Sharon did when they need work. They look at the job listings and look for a job that they think they can get. This is one of the worst ways to get a job and actually has the lowest success rate. We will discuss the phenomena in detail in chapter 7. This way of thinking is not design thinking. It's just grasping whatever might be in reach, and it is unlikely to result in long term satisfaction. If the kids are hungry, the bank is about to foreclose on your house, or you owe a guy named Louis a lot of money, then by all means, take whatever job you can get. But when the wolf has backed off a bit, it is time to wayfind to jobs you might actually want. And don't worry about being stuck. Designers get stuck all the time. Being stuck can be a launching pad for creativity. When you think like a designer, you know how to ideate, how to flare, to come up with lots of options for lots of possible futures. Look, it's simple. You can't know what you want until you know what you might want. So you are going to have to generate a lot of ideas and possibilities. Accept the problem, get stuck, get over it, and ideate, ideate, ideate. Ideate this. We are going to ask you to get out of the box of being realistic and venture into the wide world of what I might want. It is time to embrace being stuck. Grant was stuck, Sharon was stuck. We are all stuck in some way in some areas of our lives. That is where we need ideation, which is a fancy word for coming up with lots of ideas, wild ideas, crazy ideas. We are going to teach you how to have more ideas than you ever thought possible. So many people get stuck chasing their first idea or the perfect idea or that one big idea that will solve the problem, will be the answer, and will dig them out of whatever hole they are currently stuck in. That is a lot of pressure. Believing that there is only one idea out there leads to a lot of pressure and indecision. I am just not sure. I don't want to blow it. I really need to get this right. If I just had a better, the right, a killer idea, then all would be well. Let's stop right here so we can be the first to tell you an amazing fact. All will be well. It will. Those of us fortunate enough to live in the modern world with access to some degree of choice, freedom, mobility, education, and technology spend most of our time immersed in a world obsessed with optimization. There is always got to be a better idea, a better way, even a best way. That kind of thinking is pretty dangerous to life design. The truth is that all of us have more than one life in us. When we ask our students, how many lifetimes worth of living are there in you? The average answer is 3.4. And if you accept this idea that there are multiple great designs for your life, though you will still only get to live one, it is rather liberating. There is no one idea for your life. There are many lives you could live happily and productively, no matter how many years old you are. And there are loads of different paths you could take to live each of those productive, amazingly different lives. So do the math. This adds up to tons of different possible ideas you might have. And we are going to give you the tools to generate such ideas. Quantity has a quality all its own. In life design, more is better because more ideas equal access to better ideas, and better ideas lead to a better design. Expanding your thinking improves your ability to ideate and allows for more innovation. If you work through loads of ideas, your chances of hitting on some that can be really energizing for you go up, which increases your chance of creating something that can work and that you will love. More ideas also equal new insights. Designers love to ideate broadly and wildly. They love the crazy ideas as much or more than the sensible ones. Why? Most people think that designers are just out there and prefer crazy stuff because they are edgy, avant-garde, dark sunglass wearing kinds of people. Think Barrett's cool shoes and the hippest restaurants. That may be true, but it is not the point. Designers learn to have loads of wild ideas because they know that the number one enemy of creativity is judgment. Our brains are so tightly wired to be critical, find problems, and leap to judgment that it is a wonder any ideas ever make it out. We have to defer judgment and silence the inner critic if we want to get all our ideas out. If we don't, we may have a few good ideas, but the majority will have been lost. Silently imprisoned behind the wall of judgment, our prefrontal cortex has erected to safeguard us from making mistakes or looking foolish. Now we love the prefrontal cortex and would not be caught in public without it. But we don't want it taking our ideas hostage prematurely. If we can get out into the wild idea space, then we know we have overcome premature judgment. The crazy ideas may not be the ones we pick, and rarely are actually, but often after having the crazy ideas, we have moved to a new creative space and we can see new and innovative possibilities that can work. So let's bring on the crazy. Usually, our students find this part of the process to be the most exciting, engaging, and just plain fun. Who doesn't like to generate a lot of great and crazy ideas? You may or may not think that you are a creative person, but that doesn't matter. Remember our motto, you are here, and get ready to work with whatever level of personal creativity you think you have. We will build from there. Our goal is to energize and expand on your capacity for generating loads and loads of solution to the myriad problems that come up when you are designing your life. As a life designer, you need to embrace two philosophies. First, you choose better when you have lots of good ideas to choose from. Second, you never choose your first solution to any problem. Yes, Anjali, you want to go from here?
Yeah, thank you, Suman.
Yeah.
Our minds are generally lazy and like to get rid of problems as quickly as possible. So they surround first ideas with a lot of positive chemicals to make us fall in love with them. Do not fall in love with your first idea. This relationship almost never works out. Most often, our first solutions are pretty average and not very creative. Humans have a tendency to suggest the obvious first. Learning to use great ideation tools helps you overcome this bias towards the obvious and helps you regain a sense of creative confidence. Even those of you who might think that you are not creative can probably remember back to a time when you didn't feel this way. Perhaps it was in kindergarten or first or second grade, when singing, dancing, and drawing seemed like natural forms of self expression. You were not self conscious, nor were you judging whether your drawing were art or you are singing professional or your dancing worthy of others' attention. You felt free to create any natural form of your own self expression without limits. You can probably also remember, typically in vivid detail, a time when a teacher said, "You are not an artist, you can't draw," or a classmate said, "You dance funny," or some other adult said, "Stop singing, you are ruining the song for everyone." Ouch! We are sorry if this creativity killing moment happened to you. And the creativity killing moments kept happening in middle school and high school, where social norms took the place of scolding adults, and we learned to rein in our differences for fear of being called out. It's a wonder that any shred of our personal creativity survives as we grow up. But trust us, it's in there. We are going to help you discover it. Mind mapping. The first ideation technique we are going to teach you is called mind mapping. It's a great tool for ideating by yourself and a great method for getting unstuck. Mind mapping works by using simple free association of words one after another to open up the idea space and come up with new solutions. The graphical nature of the method allows ideas and their associations to be captured automatically. This technique teaches you to generate lots of ideas, and because it is a visual method, it bypasses your inner logical and verbal sensor. The mind mapping process has 3 steps: picking a topic, making the mind map. Yeah, please scroll. Third is making secondary connections and creating concepts, mashing it all up. The image above is of Grant's mind map, which he made while being stuck on the problem of how to find the perfect job. You'll remember that when Grant looked over his good time journal, the only positive experiences he could find had something to do with hiking in the redwoods near his house. So he decided to mind map around that. You can see he put being outdoors in the center of his mind map and drew a circle around it. This is step 1. Maniselvi, do you want to discuss that, or shall I read it? Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Step 2 is making the mind map. For this, you take the original idea and write down 5 or 6 things related to that idea. Be rigorous in writing down the first words that come to mind. Now repeat this process with the words in the second ring. Draw 3 or 4 lines from each word and free associate new words related to these prompts. The words that come up for you do not need to be associated to the words or question in the center, only the word in the second ring. Repeat this process until you have at least 3 or 4 rings of word associations. In Grant's example, he wrote down travel, hiking, surfing, camping, and nature. These things are all related directly to his idea of being outdoors. He then took each of those words and created new branches of word associations. Hiking reminded Grant of mountains, which led to explorers. Travel led him to Hawaii, Europe, and backpacking, and Hawaii led him to tropical beaches. France, an association with Europe, took him to crepes, which took him to Nutella, which, though interesting, turned out to be a dead end. But surfing led to beaches, which led to tides, which led to cycles, bicycles, and racing. It also led to Jamaica, then through Usain Bolt. Grant's brain turns out to be more creative than he thought, and onto the idea of exotic locations. This whole process of creating layers and word associations took 3 to 5 minutes. But you want to give yourself a time limit, so you do this fast and bypass your inner censor. The next step is to take this random association of words and highlight a few things that might be interesting or that jump out at you and mash them together into a few concepts. You want to pick from the very outer layer or perimeter of the mind map because that is the stuff that is 2 or 3 steps away from your conscious thinking. Even though being outdoors eventually took Grant to bicycle racing and Usain Bolt, in Grant's hidden unconscious, these are all linked back to his original prompt. Grant pulled out the random words that seemed interesting. In this case, explorers, tropical beaches, pirates, kids, exotic locations, and bicycle racing. Then he took these individual components and mashed them up into a couple of possible ideas. Could he work part time at an explorer camp for kids who like the outdoors? Better yet, make it a pirate camp and have it at a beach? How about accepting the promotion he was offered, but only if he let him move to a rental office near a beach? He looked it up and found that his company had an office in Santa Cruz, California. Yes, or even better, someplace really exotic like Hawaii, where he could coach at a pirate surf camp for kids. Turns out his company had an office there too. And maybe if he accepted the promotion, he would make enough money to afford a 4 day work week so that he would have some time to explore some of these new ideas. This is innovation. Grant is no longer stuck. In fact, he has more good ideas than he knows what to do with. And more important, he has started to think that it's not about finding the perfect job, it's about making the job he has perfect. It turns out it pays to work for a multinational car rental company with offices all over the world. Doing his mind map made Grant realize that he has more to work with than he thought, and he can use his current job as the springboard to what's next. It's important to remember when you do this not to censor your words. That's why we suggest you do it fast. Just write down the first words that come to mind. If you censor yourself, you limit your potential for generating new and novel ideas. David David Kelly, the founder of D School, says you often have to go through the wild ideas to get to the actionable good ideas. So don't be afraid to come up with crazy stuff. It may be the jumping off point for something really practical and really new. Also, you should create your mind map on a big piece of paper. You're looking for lots of ideas, so make your map as graphic and as big as possible. Go out and get a giant piece of butcher paper or a large whiteboard and have big ideas. The bigger, the better. Shall I continue? Does anyone want to read from here? Okay, I'll continue. Stuck on steroids, anchor problems. There's a certain class of problems, the ones that just won't go away, that we call anchor problems. Like a physical anchor, they hold us in one place and prevent motion. They keep us stuck, much as Grant and Sharon were stuck with their career problems. If we are going to practice good life design, it is important to notice when we are stuck with an anchor problem. Dave found himself with an anchor problem. But it didn't have to do with his career, like Grant and Sharon. This problem hit closer to home. You see, Dave is a shop kind of guy, as in workshop. His dad, Dave the Third, was an incredible craftsman and had an amazing shop, so of course, Dave had to have a cool shop too. But Dave is less craftsman and more fix-it guy, so he didn't need quite the same layout as his dad. This means that with careful planning and maintenance, Dave has been able to achieve the all-time garage Topher, a killer shop that still allows room to park the cars inside. Don't judge Dave's dreams. He loved it and vowed he would have that kind of garage the rest of his life. And then he moved to the beach. And in that move, he found out he had a fifth of his former garage space to fit his stuff in. And he found himself with an anchor problem that's lasted years. For the first few years, Dave had to rent 3 storage units in addition to filling the garage at the beach. One by one, year after year, he got rid of the storage units, but the last car evicting pile of junk has never been cleared from the garage. And as far as getting the shop properly laid out, well, don't ask. He has lived with all American garage disaster for over 5 years now, and of course he has gotten too used to it. Every summer for 4 years, he has vowed to clean it out and get the shop set up, but he has been overwhelmed every time. Though he has got a vision of his old near perfect garage layout, he fears he will just never get there. He begins in earnest, removing the first layer of old bike parts and VHS types, but then he gets discouraged at the looming pile and he distracts himself with something more doable, like replacing the alternator in the truck. Fix It Guy strikes again. Then it's Christmas with all those boxes down from the attic and Fajab, what is that? Doubt. Dave is anchored on this problem because he is anchored to the one and only solution he has been willing to accept, a perfect car plus workshop layout. It's such a huge job now. Dave doesn't even try, so everybody gets to slalom through the obstacle course of the garage while the ocean sun and salt air fade the paint on the cars parked outside. The only way Dave can get unanchored from this immovable situation is to reframe his solution and prototype a little. He could first reframe so that the goal is just a workbench and inside storage for bikes and camping gear. Second, reframe so that he still needs just one small storage unit for life and buy back his garage for about $100 a month. Third, be mindful of process and break it into smaller projects. A. Give away old books and music. B. Reduce to only 4 bikes. C. Clear the floor of boxes. D. Clear the workbench of old project detritus. The big move here is to get rid of the image of the perfect garage and reimagine a different result or steps along the way. If Dave keeps the picture of his old perfect garage, the solution, pasted on that refrigerator door in his mind, he is never going to get anywhere because it's too hard. Too hard doesn't work. This isn't a gravity problem. It's not impossible. It's just that Dave's stuck because he has anchored himself to a solution that can't work. Melanie taught sociology at a small liberal arts college and was impressed by developments in the budding fields of social innovation and social entrepreneurship that were transforming what nonprofit organizations could do using insights from the startup and venture capital world. Knowing that students were really interested in new approaches to social impact, she started teaching a course and sponsoring social innovation projects. It went great, but she wanted to do more. She longed to make a lasting impact on her college and dreamed up a vision to found a new institute for social innovation. All she needed was $15 million dollars to endow it properly and do it right. So she set about the task of raising the money. She developed a strategy and a killer pitch for the idea. Students loved it, administrators were supportive, the development office hated it. Like most small colleges, Melanie's school was underfunded and struggling to keep up. Its alumni roster was not overloaded with zillionaires, and the development office vigilantly guarded relationships with the few major donors the college had recruited. Melanie was given a long hands off list of the college's key donors, including individuals and foundations. She was free to solicit anyone not on the list, but that was it. This was quite a setback, but Melanie had a dream worthy of her time, so she went for it. You can guess the rest. She networked and pitched tirelessly for 2 years and got nowhere. She signed up a few commitments, but they were all way too small. Any big donors she discovered got scooped up by the development office for other things. Melanie's goal remained totally out of reach. Without access to the few strategic donors of the college, she would never raise the 15 million. She was stuck unnecessarily. Melanie believed that her problem was getting $15 million dollars to fund her Social Innovation Institute. But that wasn't her problem. That was just her first idea of a solution to her problem. And she got so anchored to that idea that she was mired in stuckness and failure. Oh, and did we mention that she was getting depressed by all this rejection and that her teaching was suffering from the fundraising distraction and that her colleagues, sick of the Melanie money lament, had begun avoiding her. You see, when you anchor yourself to a bad solution, it just gets worse and worse with time. Melanie's real problem was wanting to make a lasting impact on her college through social innovation, not funding an institute. She made a classic mistake of jumping to one solution too quickly. With help, Melanie got unstuck by adopting a design thinking mindset, remembering what her real problem was, and exploring some prototypes. She realized that she had come up with the institute idea and its $15 million price tag all on her one day and had never really considered alternatives. She applied the mindset of curiosity to the situation and did some more investigating before finally settling on just what it was she was trying to do. She decided to frame an interesting question and talk to lots of people on campus. She began interviewing campus leaders, asking, "How do you think social innovation can be a part of our college and where would we start?" She had lots of great conversations and got lots of ideas. People suggested theme dorms, alternative spring break programming, a summer internship program, and a new senior thesis project curriculum. There were lots of ways to make an institutional impact on the college without having to start and fund a new institute. Sure, the institute would be cooler and bigger and sexier and would maybe even had more of an impact, but it was also nearly impossible. The other idea were much cheaper and also enlisted more new supporters, so Melanie was no longer the sole advocate on campus. She formed a joint student faculty team and they concluded that a social innovation themed dorm was the best idea. So they prototyped it. First, they canvassed all the existing theme dorms to see what they were doing that worked and didn't work. In the process, they met the students who liked the new dorm idea. The team invited those students to form a club on campus as a first step. The club ran for 2 years to test projects, work the idea into the campus culture, and build credibility. Then, four club members jointly applied to be resident assistants in the same dorm their senior year and got the dorm manager's permission to run a social innovation pilot program the next year. It went great and was renewed the following year. The year after that, the dorm was officially themed for social innovation. Melanie was named its faculty advisor, and the VP of Student Housing became its staunchest advocate. By reframing the problem, using curiosity, prototyping, and a little radical collaboration, Melanie made a permanent change in the campus culture and the housing system. She had a lasting impact on the institution without ever having to fund an institute. Anybody wants to take from here?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yes, Sunita, please.
John also had an anchor problem. Ever since hearing about it, when he was a Boy Scout, he had dreamed of taking the mule trip from the rim to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and promised himself that one day he would do it. Then life got in the way. He had a career to launch and a family to start. No problem. He would make the trip with his wife and kids and create an awesome family memory. But by the time John could afford that vacation for his family of five, he'd grown in size too, and now weighed at around 221 pounds. The mule rider limit was 200 pounds. Every spring for 5 years, John went on a diet to try to get down to 199 pounds so he could make the trip that summer. One year, he dieted down to 212, another year to 208. Once he got to 203, with 209 fully dressed with a water bottle. He was getting better at dieting, but not fast enough. His kids were getting older and had other plans. You scroll down. किसका है? Just a second, guys.
पता नहीं, देखो ना कहीं से OTP नया कोई आया होगा।
Could someone else take it? I've got a courier that I need to work out.
For their summer, than hanging around donkeys with their parents for 3 days. It never happened. That family memory doesn't exist. John got anchored to this idea about the solution. It had to be the mule ride. If he had stepped back and recognized that his one solution, though not impossible, was taking too long to achieve and had a lousy chance of success, he would have saved it. He could have reframed the idea from take the Grand Canyon mule ride to see the Grand Canyon top to bottom. There were lots of ways to do that, by helicopter, by river, and by foot. John's chances of training successfully for the hike up and down the trail about 10 times better than his chances of ever tipping the scales under 200. The moral to the stories of Dave, Melanie, and John is that don't make a doable problem into an anchor problem by wedding yourself irretrievably to a solution that just isn't working. Reframe the solution to some other possibilities, prototype those ideas, take some test hikes, and get yourself unstuck. Anchor problems keep us stuck because we can only see one solution, the one we already have that doesn't work. Anchor problems are not only about our current failed approach, they are really about the fear that no matter what else we try, that won't work either, and then we will have to admit that we are permanently stuck, meaning we are screwed, and we would rather be stuck than screwed. Sometimes it is more comfortable to hold on to our familiar failed approach to the problem than to risk a worse failure by attempting the big changes that we think will be required to eliminate it. This is a pretty common but paradoxical human behavior. Change is always uncertain and there is no guarantee of success, no matter how hard you try. It makes sense to be fearful. The way forward is to reduce the risk and the fear of failure by designing a series of small prototypes to test the. It is okay for prototypes to fail, they are supposed to, but well-designed prototypes teach you something about the future. Prototypes lower your anxiety, ask interesting questions, and get you data about the potential of the change that you are trying to accomplish. One of the principles of design thinking is that you want to fail fast and fail forward into your next step. When you are stuck with an anchor problem, try reframing the challenge as an exploration of possibilities instead of trying to solve your huge problem in one miraculous leap. Then decide to try a series of small, safe prototypes of the change you would like to see happen. It should result in getting unstuck and finding a more creative approach to your problem. We will talk a lot more about prototyping in Chapter 6. Before we leave the topic of anchor problems entirely, we need to make clear how they differ from the gravity problems mentioned in Chapter 1. They are both really nasty problems types that keep people stuck. They are entirely different in nature. An anchor problem is a real problem, just a hard one. It's actionable, but we have been stuck on it so long or so often that it seems insurmountable, which is why such a problem has to be reframed, then opened up with new ideas, then knocked down to size by prototyping. Gravity problems aren't actually problems. They are circumstances that you can do nothing to change. There is no solution to a gravity problem, only acceptance and redirection. You can't defy the laws of nature, nor do we live in a world where poets reliably make $1 million a year. Life designers know that if a problem isn't actionable, then it's not solvable. Designers may be artful at reframing and inventing, but they know better than go up against the laws of nature or the marketplace. We are here to get you unstuck. We want you to have lots of ideas and lots of options. When you have lots of ideas, you can build prototypes of your life and test them out. That's what life designers do. Mind mapping with your good time journal. If you don't do your good time journal in the last chapter, if you didn't do your good time journal in the last chapter, please go back and do it now. You are going to need it for this exercise. We are going to do 3 different mind maps, each one extending out at least 3 or 4 layers, and which at least a dozen or more elements in the outermost ring. Mind map 1, engagement. From your good time journal, pick one of the areas of greatest interest to you or an activity during which you were really engaged. Example, balancing the budget or pitching a new idea, and make it the center of your map. Then generate a bunch of connected words and concepts using the mind mapping techniques. Mind map 2, energy. From your good time journal, pick something you have identified as really energizing you in your work and life. Example, art class, giving feedback to colleagues, healthcare access, keeping things running right, and mind map this out. Mind map 3, flow. From your good time journal, pick one of the experiences when you were in a state of flow. Put the experience itself at the center of a mind map and complete your mapping of your experience with the state. Example, speaking in front of a large audience or brainstorming creative ideas. Now that you have done these 3 mind maps, you are going to invent an interesting, though not necessarily practical, life alternative for each. Look at the outer ring of one of your maps and pick 3 disparate items that catch your eye. You will know which ones they are intuitively. They should literally jump out at you. Now try to combine those 3 items into a possible job description that would be fun and interesting to you and would be helpful to someone else. Again, it need not be practical or appeal to lots of people or employers. Naming your role and draw a napkin sketch of it. A quick visual drawing of what it is, like the one shown here. For example, when Grant, who was languishing away at the car rental agency, did this exercise based on when he was engaged in his life, hiking in redwoods, playing pickup basketball, helping his niece and nephew, he ended up drawing a sketch of himself leading a pirate surf camp for children. Do this exercise 3 times, once for each of your mind maps. Make sure that the 3 versions are different from one another. Now what? You might now be thinking, this is terrific. There are some really cool ideas here I can definitely use. If so, that's great, but it's not guaranteed and it's not typical. Or you might have completed this and are now saying to yourself, well, that was silly. What the heck is the point of coming up with all these random nonsense ideas? If that's you, you didn't get your money's worth out of the exercise. The whole point was to defer judgment and quiet your internal problem finding critic. If you never did, you probably found the exercise pretty silly. If that's you, welcome to the club of smart modern people trying to do the right thing, which is to get the right answer right away. Take another look at your work and find out if you can see it in a new light, or come back and try again in a few days. Or you might be thinking, well, that was pretty fun and interesting, but I'm not really sure what I'm getting out of this yet. If that sounds like you are doing great. The point of this exercise isn't to generate a specific result. It's to get your mind going all over the place and ideating without judgment. By taking the exercise all the way to imagining how to combine elements creatively into surprising roles or jobs, you have successfully moved out of problem solving, what do I do next, into design thinking, what can I imagine? Now you are working with a designer's mindset and you have got lots of important ideas down on paper in a creative format. It's time to start the task of innovating 3 real alternative lives. It's time for your Odyssey plans. Try stuff, mind mapping. Review your good time journal and note activities in which you were engaged, energized, and in flow. Choose an activity that you were engaged in an activity that you felt highly energized from, and something you did that brought you into flow. And create 3 mind maps, one for each. Look at the outer ring of each mind map, pick 3 things that jump out at you, and create a job description from them. Create a role for each job description and draw a napkin sketch. So here we conclude today's reading. Chapter 5, Design Your Lives, will take up tomorrow. Yeah. So let's look back at what the chapter which we read today and see how we can connect ourselves with it and what are the key learnings today. So please share. Yes, anyone? Anjali, you want to go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So one line, really, it was such a profound one. I would just like to read it again. It's on page 78. There is no one idea for your life. There are many lives you could live happily and productively, no matter how many years old you are. And there are lots of different paths you could take to live each of those productive and amazing different lives. So, like with the each idea, whatever we want to achieve, whatever we are thinking or planning, many times we give up our hobbies, we give up our interest, and only in search of money, because that is the first basic requirement of life, and taking responsibilities. We many times just give up our hobbies or our interests. We compromise a lot, but if we properly design our life, we could live those moments. We could really have those things as a part of our life. Or the hobbies we can live. We can take up our interest in our free time. And the only thing is how we manage our time, how we manage our life, and how we design our life. That is the thing. We can live as many life we want. It is not that we need another birth for to have another kind of interest or to live something, but we can here now itself we can live all those ideas. So that was a very profound thing. I really loved that I wanted to share. Other than that, yes, mind making and whatever author has shared, it is nice. And how to come up to a goal. So one more thing I would like to add to this, that if like a goal is decided, what I understood is if we have one particular goal, or after a lot of research we thought that this is the only thing we have to do, then divide it, break it into smaller goals. But if it is the first idea that has stuck to, okay, this is the only solution we are left with no other choice, what he called the anchor problem. So that is something where we need to take a pause, leave everything to time, and just take a, like, we need to give a break to our brains, and that pause will help us to find more ideas. First of all, the ideas will come proper, and where the mind mapping will come in the way, and there, that is the time when we can decide ki what exactly is the solution. So there are two choices. If goal is one, then break it into smaller goals. Otherwise, if we are not clear with the goal, then take a pause. So these are the my takeaways from today's learning. That's all.
Thanks, Anjali, for starting off the discussion today. Yeah, anyone else would like to add? Please go ahead.
Yes, for me also, add to that Anjali's point, she has cleared that. Uh, Generally, while selecting our goal, we have one idea and we start working upon that idea. The writer suggests that we need, because we have to, that goal is to be with us for our life. So we have, at that time, we have to be, we have to incorporate as many ideas, bring out as many ideas as can. And then with mind mapping and the tools she has told, that we need to work with that and design our life accordingly. So need not get stuck on one idea. The first idea that was, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
for
Subha.
me also, it was the same thing that and especially when it hits home when you're actually living through it, experiencing it. So being stuck on finding that one solution, the first thing that came to your mind is might not always be the right thing, and one needs to actually review it and reframe your objectives. So yeah, that stuck with me, and I also liked the line that Anjali had shared or brought her life to, was that there are versions of your life that you can live. It's just not just one version. So yeah, that stuck with me also.
Yeah, thanks, Sunita. Good to see you after so many days. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, can I add something, Manasir, here?
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for all sharing, all your shares. Takeaway for me is yes, I use mind map for book summary, etc. But yeah, I think uh, author has given a nice tool here again, mind map for life designing. That point I like. Again, I like the author's suggestion that is implement and fail fast. Um, as we just discussing, that first idea is not a good idea, but how we will know the best way to implement it fail quickly, because that is the best default mechanism we reach, feedback mechanism, a quick results out of the implementation, then change your strategy, reframing and all that. So I really, that particular line stuck me, saying that yes, but do that implementation of your ideas which build the trust, which build the confidence. So yeah, so that is today's takeaway from my end. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone else would like to share?
Hello. Good
Yes,
afternoon,
Amina.
everyone.
Good
Yeah.
afternoon. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. The steak was very nice by everyone. But we forget one point that the author said that creativity is there within all of us. Okay, but when we ask some people, they say no, we are not creative at all. But that's the misconception, and it's a wonderful way of testing yourself, that am I creative or not? So long back, I'd had a talk on this topic, you know, that creativity is the key. And if we can also brainstorm on that or write on that, each of us, we will get so many insights into what exactly is creativity, and we all are creative. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amina, to bring up the point of creativity. Yes, it is important to solve problems, to design things. Anyone else? Mansi would like to add something?
Actually, I want to, but I'm out and I'm a little in middle or something. So I'll just try to. I actually missed out most of the reading today. I was very partially present, but whatever I can, I just from the glimpses of what I could pay attention to today's reading, I just understood. There was this one insight that caught my attention in the beginning of the reading, where they were explaining about creating options, and where we have to have options, otherwise we cannot we should not go ahead with the first problem. I think something like that, right? So in that I felt like, as maybe as designers, like touchwood, but coming from a design background, I feel somewhere my brain is always like that was an insight today, that somewhere maybe my brain is trained to think of options, because we work that way, and I think our work influences a lot of our life also, right, in a way. And this book, and one more thing which I just want to add, which I just could pay attention to at the end, about options, multiple options. So this whole course and this whole book is all about having a living an and life. That's their like tagline type of a thing, like where they promote that you don't have to live an or life. You can, when you can live an and life, so they it just replace that or with And even Mahernosh sir says it very beautifully. He also did some other design related course, design your year or something course last year, when he mentioned where Hindi, where you have to replace that English or with the Hindi or. So the English or is this or this, either or, right? And Hindi or is and, basically. So I just felt somewhere the chapter touched this. And just thinking of mind maps, I would say like mind maps are highly effective. I have done it a long time, like many a times, and it's beautiful. So yeah, this is, in fact, we learned a different way of mind mapping in the course, which was MASH mind map or something they called it, which was where you do a mind map, and then you as they talk about radical collaboration, right? Like, so more of the exercises that they take in the workshops are more experiential and more interactive as such. So it's more like when some people come together with collective consciousness, some things just emerge and ideas emerge, solutions emerge. So the whole structure is that way. So it's very interesting. So uh, uh, yeah, that's what I just would want to. That's what I just highlighted, and I'm sorry if I missed out the key parts, but I just have to maybe, and also I have not done that other initial exercise on which the mind map is based on. Somehow it was not covered in the workshop I was part of, because there is a, I think this book and whatever we, even the workshop which I could learn from, these are like basically just maybe this book specially I feel is a tip of an iceberg. So they have, I think, 21 or some more than that, like tools, 27 or something. I remember my ma'am telling the facilitators are taught like so many tools, of which only a few are covered, even in the workshop, because of the time constraint. So it was a 2 day intensive workshop, full day, which I attended. But yeah, so yeah, that's what, like, I would want to add. Maybe a little vague today because I couldn't pay much attention to the entire reading as such.
Guys, have you shared the PDF in the group? Because I couldn't find it. I just need a PDF. Okay, got it.
Yeah, Sunita, I'll provide you the link for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So thanks everyone for sharing your takeaways. Yes, so you have actually summed it up what I wanted to share. And as the chapter is basically getting unstuck, so truly we get stuck in various type of situation. Maybe starting trouble, maybe even if we are not able to see options in certain problems, certain things we are not even able to rearrange. Like for example, if I have a goal of doing so and so sales, so maybe I am just trying one option, and if that is not working, then I'm getting stuck. Or I'm thinking that, okay, other way is that I am feeling very depressed that this is not working and I'm not getting any other opportunities. But then I can look, like, if I have to do so much sales, whether I can have a better network of people, do some events so that I can get that kind of a selling. Or how do I advertise, some other things. So this might also require you to take a step back and look at your problem from, is it really a problem, or is it, what are the different ways to achieve the same thing? What are the different ways? I'm only trying one way. So these kind of awareness and realization, I think this chapter has brought us. And also the third kind is when we start with one thing. I think it's an extension of what we have read so far. So if we start on one path and we get stuck, then it is not that we cannot choose some other option. We'll have to see how we can get back to some other neutral state and come back from a different approach to the same problem. So looking at life from a dissociated state, when you put things on mind map, it actually gives you an option of thinking wide, without any borders and without any assumptions that only this is possible and this is not possible and only this is doable. So we'll have to develop, as Mansi said, we'll have to develop that kind of a mindset where, okay, this didn't work, what else can be done? This didn't work, am I dealing with the right problem, or this is not a problem, but there is, something else as a problem. So deeper understanding of the situation, a bit of a dissociation, and also ready to move around, as Samina said, a bit of creativity, having a faith that you will find a way out, right, out of the situation, by having a curiosity, by having these kind of techniques or tools of mind maps and other things. And basically, if we reflect back in a better manner, I think we can overcome and create a bit of a awareness and overcome these assumptions that we live with, that I cannot do this, this is my limit, I cannot work beyond this, this is how much is my capacity. So these kind of lids that we put on our capacities, we can actually remove them. And if we have to live with those capacity limitations, then we can work around different ways in which you can achieve your goals without having those limitations. Yes, but thinking of different ways where these limitations can be compensated. So I think today's reading was more on the how to think more clearly and more structurally, I would say, with the use of mind map to find options. And I really like the word ideate. Ideate is a word which assumes that we can have ideas, we are creative, and by nature, where there is a will, there is a way, kind of thing. So I really like that word today. And yeah, so is there anyone who would like to add here? Okay, then thanks today for your time. Yeah. So we'll resume tomorrow with the fifth chapter. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Manaselvi. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. It was a great session, Maniselvi.
Thanks, Anjali.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you, and thank you, Maliselvi. I'm taking the notes. I've taken and I'm sharing. I don't know if your part is there, or I'll just take it again.
I will take my that one prompt is there. No, I'll use that and I'll generate. Yeah.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I actually wanted to share it with the morning team also, like Pallavi and this thing. I shared my prompt, but I did not remember yours. So if just message me, na, so I can just share it with them.
Okay.
Or you can share it with Pallavi also, like and also share it with me. So if sometimes we feel like adding that, we can do that. It is a nice prompt and it's giving good results, na? That is why.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And sorry I couldn't support you today. I'm actually a little in the middle of something. So maybe tomorrow onwards, if you want me to share screen or do whatever, I'll be there to be there with you. Huh?
Okay.
Just let me know in advance, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be prepared with the other device.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.